we're going to move on to the next topic here on the podcast. And this is the one that I mentioned at the beginning where please don't shoot us for being a little off-seasonal, I'm going to say, and kind of creating a story where there might not be one. And the reason I say that is there's an article on ESPN that we saw that basically says NFL draft trades that should happen. And it lists a bunch of them. And I'll be honest, I don't like a lot of them. Like the one that I know, Mark, when I said it to you, you're like, not enough. Fletcher Cox and the 8th overall for the 1st overall.
Yeah, not enough at all. Not for the 1st overall pick of the draft, no.
Or like Joe Thomas to the Colts for a 2nd-round draft choice this year. But we're going to talk about a main one that surrounds a certain running back from the Kansas City Chiefs.
We're big on the running backs today.
And it says, here was the trade. It says, Kansas City Chiefs running back Jamaal Charles to the Philadelphia Eagles or Miami Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick this year. And the reason why I bring that up is this is something that could possibly be like thought about. Like the first one you go, oh no, that's not enough. Or this one, oh, that's a joke. This is one where it's like, well, okay. Kansas City, I mean, Jamaal Charles was injured this past year. And in his absence, it looks like the Chiefs have some guys in Charmander West or Spencer Ware that, I mean, West had 634 yards and 4 touchdowns. Spencer Ware, 400 yards and 6 tutties on the season. This is something where the Chiefs could honestly look and go, hey, we can manage with these guys. Let's trade Jamaal Charles.
It's possible. It definitely is. I mean, it's tough because obviously Jamaal Charles is one of the greats right now. There's no doubt about that. The guy will get you over 1,000 yards.
Well, he's the guy that we were talking about in the last segment of, he's the guy where it's like, okay, he's the running back that we can build around. He's the everyday back for us.
Exactly. He's going to be there all the time. Unfortunately, he got hurt. You know, and he's getting up there. He's what, 29 now? So, yeah, 29. So he's getting up there in age. Running backs aren't notorious for having the longest lifespan in the NFL.
He'll be 30 this December.
So, I don't know. It's tough to say because the rushing game was not affected by his absence. So, you could say, yeah, we could do that. We need to build up the passing attack. That's the only thing that we were not good at. You know, we didn't have the right kind of the passing yards. We struggled with that. 2 years ago, we struggled at getting a single touchdown to any of our wide receivers. Now we struggled at just moving the ball down the field through the pass. So, hey, you know what? It's not a bad idea if you can get something worth your while because you've proven that you don't really need it. Running back by committee has worked in this situation. Not giving you the same production. You are going to lose a little bit. You know, maybe 200 yards or something like that in the season, maybe 300 yards during the season. But if you improve that passing game from being one of the worst to just not terrible, that's not bad. It's really not. I definitely think it's... A lot of times I would kind of laugh at a trade like this. This is a situation where I'm not going to laugh at one of those former stars for like a 3rd-round pick. This is a situation where I actually think this is a pretty good deal, especially if you're a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who really could use, you know, a nice running back to really be that lead guy, and they're not going to probably, you know, draft Ezekiel Elliott in the 1st round because they have other needs to address.
Well, and I mean, the one thing I'm looking at right now is the cap hit for this past season for Charles was $7.9 million. Next year, it's going to go down. It's going to be about 5.3 before going back up to 7 in his last year of 2017. So he's a free agent before the season of 2018. You look at the other running backs, Spencer Ware, he is also going to be a free agent in 2018. So him and Charles come off the books at the same time. The only difference, he's about, if I do the math right, almost about $7 million less. He's at about 1.8 compared to 9.0 for this past year. And then you have Charmander West, who, according to SpotRack.com, he's in the books from now until 2019. So I look at that alone and it goes, okay, Charles he's not making the most money for this team, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, we've got guys back there. What can we get? And I mean, I look at this article and I think the next thing you got to think of is, what would Charles's worth be? Is a third rounder from the Eagles or the Dolphins enough for Charles, or would the Chiefs overprice him because of how good he's been over his career?
Yeah, I think that he does seem like he should be worth quite a bit, but at the age of 29 as a running back,
well,
that's
once you
tough.
hit that magical age of 30, which he will at the end of this year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's dangerous, and teams are going to be wary of that for sure. But if you're not gonna really lose anything by getting rid of the guy, besides maybe, like I said, a couple hundred yards or something, and your other aspects of your offense are going to be improved, I don't know, maybe a third round or a fourth round pick is not a bad deal. It's going to look like a slap in the face to Jamaal Charles, but it might work out well for the Chiefs. It might be the thing that the Chiefs need to do. It's a what are you doing for me right now type of situation.
Well, and another thing is the injury, because that's just where we got caught in the Jamaal Charles career right now. Because if you look at every year except for 3, he's easily had over 1,000 yards. The only 3 where he didn't, his first year in the league in 2008, only ran for about 350. Then in 2011, he got injured. Only played 2 games, 83 yards, and then the injury this year, 5 games into the year. So those are the only 3 where he hasn't even gotten over 370 yards. However, when he plays 15 to 16 games like he has in all the other seasons, boom, he's a 1,000-yard rusher right out the gate.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and he missed a game apiece in 13 and 14. But his carries were pretty up there. I mean, you can look at his attempts, and they do go down. But I really think a big part of that's the injury that he had in both those seasons.
Plus Andy Reid coming in. Exactly,
kind of changes some of the offense a little bit. So I don't know, man. He's still a workhorse as long as he can stay healthy. And it's tough because he got injured once. It had been 4 or 5 seasons since he had got hurt before that. Now he's back, gets hurt again. Is he going to bounce back again and have, after bouncing back from that injury, he had the best season of his entire career. I doubt he's going to come back and have the best season of his career again. He's not going to Adrian Peterson it, but it's possible he could come back and do good things, especially if you do go to a team where he might be able to running back by committee. The Chiefs are in a good spot where...
I'll be honest, the team that I think, if we're seriously talking about him being traded, and this is the hypothetical topic of the podcast, because he's technically not on the block. This is just one of those articles where it's he should get traded. Miami, especially if we're going off of what's in this article and it's a 3rd round pick, you just lost Lamar Miller. You need to replace Lamar Miller. And if you think of all the other, just think of the running backs that you could get in the 3rd round. None of them are going to be what you would get with Jamaal Charles. I know he has the injury history from just last year. However, you could give up a 3rd round pick and get Charles. And if you're Miami, the Tannehills down there are loving it. They're McDonald's.
For sure.
Loving it.
I think that the Chiefs are in a good spot, though, of they could trade him and they can get one of those middle picks and use it for whatever they want. They could just keep him, and that's great. Because if he bounces back and has, even just one of his lower production years of 1,100 yards or something like that, it's still great. It's still about what you had with those other two guys. And then if you can running back by committee that, keep Jamal fresh a little bit. I think that's perfect. I don't think they really need to trade him. Could they trade him? Sure they could. They could be looking to the future. I just don't know if the Chiefs are going to be ready to make that "what have you done for me lately" move.
Here's the thing, though, and I had to do a little bit of research for this. I know it's been 4 years since it happened, but both of the injuries that he had, 2011, 2015, both were ACL injuries. So that's the big question mark with Jamal Murray, or Jamal Charles. I'm thinking DeMarco Murray in my head, but that's the big thing with Charles is he going to come back from the injury? Do the Chiefs even think about trading him? I lean towards yes. I think it's one of those things where we've got Charmander, we've got Spencer Ware. Let's go ahead and see what we can get for Charles.
If you look at it on paper, it makes perfect sense. Because you're getting the same production out of two guys that are going to be paid less. You're going to have for probably longer. They're probably easier to replace.
You'll have Charmander for one more year and Ware for about the same. He'd be a free agent the same time Charles would be.
Yeah. And those guys are easier to replace. You can get 400 yards out of someone else, 500 yards out of someone else that you're going to pay less again. So on paper, it makes sense. It's just a matter of does it really work? Because you got to remember, too, Jamaal Charles has been there since 2008. He's a staple of this team.
Yeah.
You get him out of that locker room, how are players going to react to that?
But another thing you got to look at is he will be 30 by the time the playoffs roll around.
But there's a difference between the player getting to that age and being done and the management saying, all right, we'll see you later.
That's the magical age for running backs.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's all up to what the Chiefs think is going to happen. I'm not saying Jamaal Charles is going to have a fall off as soon as he hits 30, but when running backs hit that age, they kind of slow down a bit. That was the big talk with Matt Forte. We're not going to give you the big money. You're a 30-year-old running back.
Yep.
Why do you deserve that money? This may be the precursor to that talk in about a year or so. Let us know what you guys think down below. Should the Chiefs trade Jamaal Charles? Or are we just talking out of our ass because it's the off season?